Junji Ito is a master of his craft. His artwork is haunting and amazing and beautiful, and he has become the most well-known horror mangaka in the US, and for pretty good reason. His works predominantly explore body horror, a type of horror that showcases the anxiety and fear of things like assault and mutilation, and just the body doing things that are deemed as unnatural. And he also showcases a lot of cosmic horror, the fear of the unknown, and less focused on the gory details. This subgenre is also referred to as eldritch horror or Lovecraftian horror, so if any of those things come together to paint a bigger picture for you, that's basically the two main horror types you'll find in Junji Ito's works. But one aspect or theme of horror that I find myself coming back to while reading Tomie is the horror of femininity. This isn't really a subgenre, but more of a theme that I want to talk about because it's the only thing going through my mind while reading Tomie. Tomie is a series of standalone short stories about a beautiful girl who possesses some kind of supernatural abilities. It starts with her being a bit of a succubus of sorts, being able to control and manipulate people, mostly men, into being obsessed with her. She has this aura that draws people in and does not let them go. This obsession usually grows into rage that drives her suitors, again mostly men, to the point of extreme violence, and usually that results in Tomie's death. But sometimes other people get wrapped up in the cruelty as well. Despite the grisly deaths that Tomie falls to, she regenerates and comes back. She can also grow from her own severed body parts, causing multiple Tomies to exist. She's an unstoppable force that drives those she connects with to insanity, and it doesn't stop when she's dead. The blurb on the back of the Tomie collection describes Tomie as a femme fatale, who can seduce nearly any man and drive them to murder. They kill to keep her to themselves. They kill out of fear of her. But no matter how many times they kill her, the world will never be free of Tomie. The idea of a person having that kind of power is terrifying. There is no stopping it, and many of her victims that don't stoop to murdering her are rendered essentially powerless. We see this powerlessness more in the female victims than we do the males. Most men who fall for Tomie's charm kill her. And yeah, they also never actually escape the clutches of her power, but they're the ones committing murder. Most of the women, however, who get caught up in her charm either destroy themselves or are put in a position where they're always on the run from Tomie and the trauma surrounding. Tomie is literally just about violence against women. Before you say it's not that deep, I'm literally doing this analysis for fun. No one is forcing you to be here. I don't know what to tell you. What I say is not the end-all be-all of a Tomie analysis. This is just my thoughts, and I find this fun. Okay, so what is Tomie even like as a person? We see a few different iterations to Tomie's character. She's playful, flirty, and kind of a bitch. She's often shown being selfish and painfully materialistic, demanding the most expensive things, diamonds, and items her prey simply cannot afford. And then she acts disgusted with anything less than the absolute best, ungrateful and very disinterested in the actual person that she has set her sights on. However, she can also play the perfect daughter or the perfect victim or whatever role she needs to perform in order to achieve her goals. Sometimes Tomie is a victim of her own power, not wanting to live in the cycle she is perpetuating. But more often than not, the narrative portrays Tomie as a monster, almost deserving of the violence perpetrated against her. I want to make it clear, in case it needs to be said, no matter how selfish and manipulative a person is, they don't deserve to be brutally murdered. I don't think anyone does, and I think we can all come up with certain types of people that we think should be, but I also think no one actually deserves to be cut into 42 pieces like Tomie. Especially when said person is just a teenager. Tomie is described as a woman, and in some stories, yes, that is an adult woman. But she is often portrayed as a high schooler and sometimes even younger. And she often uses her charm against older men, driving them to the point of madness, willing to risk it all for this kid. But I find it an interesting choice to portray Tomie in this way. Junji Ito's work is often lumped in with the eroguro subgenre, and the eroguro subgenre is rife with the exploitation of women, and the punishment of women who threaten the status quo and the patriarchy. Now, I'm not calling Junji Ito or any of these creators misogynists. I don't know these people. Like, I literally cannot make this call. But it is an objective fact that society and culture is and has been misogynistic. And the culture a person is steeped in does find its way into their creative works, be it intentionally or not, a reflection of the world they live in or a critique. Women and femininity are often seen as less than. You see it just in the treatment of manga alone, manga demographics specifically. Shonen is the golden child of manga and anime, while shoujo is sidelined and josei fully ignored. Josei is the adult women demographic, by the way. And anytime manga fans try to discuss this, you get people claiming that shoujo is ignored because it's just genuinely bad and boring, or just too girly or only romance. All of these things are objectively false. If you want a deeper discussion on shoujo and josei, Colleen Mangarex is a great channel that actually delves deeper into this discussion, and they also highlight a lot of, in my opinion, hidden gems. Maybe I just don't keep up with, like, current shoujo, but fun channel over there if you're looking for recommendations. The majority of Junji Ito's work, including Tomie, were published in shoujo magazines, making Tomie, the character, a part of the demographic that she is marketed towards. And she is punished for her less than savory personality, punished for her beauty, her sexuality, and her femininity. And she's often punished for how others feel about her, not for things that she has done specifically, but how others perceive her or feel about her, which quite frankly is not really her problem. If you ignore the fact that there's probably some mystical power that's making people feel this way, that's not really brought up in the manga, but it's kind of like the vibe sometimes. Tomie is punished for the way that men go crazy for her. I get that is part of the horror, a girl that's so beautiful it drives those who behold her to madness. I understand that. But it is something I find myself thinking about while reading Tomie and placing it in the, I guess, cultural zeitgeist, or whatever words I'm trying to say here. It's a reflection of how women are treated in the real world. It's a reflection of the pressure put on girls to be responsible for how others perceive and treat them. If you don't know what I mean by that, basically it's like the whole "what were you wearing" question whenever a girl comes out about being sexually assaulted or harassed, as if it's her fault that someone outside of her control decided to commit a crime against her. With Tomie, we kind of see this reality reflected back, but it's a bit messy. The focus of the narrative tends to be more on the power she holds over others and not the horrible things done to her. So it's not a perfect analysis. Circling back to the femme fatale idea, Tomie is equal parts empowering as she is a victim of misogyny. The whole femme fatale trope is typically a woman who lures men in, placing men as victims to the woman in the narrative. However, the only thing about most femme fatales that lure in is just that they're pretty. I have not consumed every piece of media in the world out there, but every femme fatale I've ever seen, the only thing about her is that she's hot and could kill people. And again, like, it all stems back to her victims just find her attractive, and now that's everyone's problem. They're usually wrapped up in something maybe a bit sketchy, and possibly have the power to dominate and even kill the men who are interested in her, and I understand that's part of the appeal. But at the end of the day, a femme fatale is literally just a hot woman with power. It places the woman in the wrong for the audacity of being attractive. These women are also often punished by the narrative, either for the sake of being pretty or for the power that they wield, or both. A lot of times it is both. With Tomie, her beauty is her power. They're intertwined, and it's her beauty that lures in her victims, allowing her to really work her magic, exerting her power and taking control over these unsuspecting men, and sometimes women. In this sense, Tomie is about the horror of femininity and the power a woman can have over a man, painting the horror from a male perspective, showcasing how dangerous a beautiful woman can be. And sure, Tomie is objectively a horrible person, more often than not, and she does treat most of the guys we see with her pretty horribly. And if you are dating somebody who treats you the way Tomie treats the men in most of these stories, you are a victim. I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry it had to come from me, some silly little guy on the internet. But the narrative of Tomie is never about the abuse that she puts her victims through. Instead, it's focused on her beauty and how the beauty alone is what drives them crazy. Yeah, she treats me like a pet that's almost too disgusting to touch. Yeah, she seems to only be with me to get nice gifts, but at least she's hot. She's so hot I can't stand it. She's losing interest in me now, and I cannot let her be with someone else. If I can't have her, no one can. This difference in how Tomie's victims are shown, and the tone of the narrative, flips Tomie as a creature from someone who holds all the power to someone who is ultimately powerless against the men in her life. The men she uses and discards make it their life's purpose to one-up her, to get rid of her, to ruin her in any way that they feel will actually matter. It's that flip that showcases the horror of femininity as a person who is seen as feminine. The misfortune that falls on someone for aspects of their femininity, the way that women can be victimized in crimes of passion or power struggles, because let's be real, most of the time, Tomie is being victimized by someone who wishes to gain power over her that they feel entitled to. And let me just set the record straight. I don't think Tomie, the stories, are inherently misogynistic. No one is painted as the one in the right, and more often than not, those who seek to victimize Tomie also get what's coming for them. No one wins. Everyone is punished by this narrative, and it's just the cruelty of man on full display here. But what about the stories that focus on the unfortunate females that encounter Tomie? Stories of jealousy, less than stunning girls trying to become more conventionally attractive, how women become overlooked as they grow older. It's the horrors of femininity from a female perspective, the horrors of what's expected of women, and how women who don't match oftentimes unrealistic standards are mistreated by society and those around them. How women perpetuate misogyny against each other, because women are not immune to being misogynistic. Just because you are a part of a marginalized group does not mean that you cannot be biased against said group. And Tomie shows us that. Tomie herself is not a girl's girl. She's cruel, petty, and sees herself as better than pretty much everyone, better than other women because she is young and pretty. And she mistreats women around her for not being Tomie's unrealistic, unearthly standard of beauty. But she's also jealous of herself, refusing to let other Tomies exist. She needs to be the only one because that's what gives her power. In a way, Tomie's like a very, very extreme final boss of a pick-me girl. Kind of. I may be using that phrase a little wrong. Definitely using that wrong, but it feels related. One of my favorite Tomie stories is Hair. A girl finds a box of hair in her father's office, and it's the most beautiful hair she's ever seen. It's got an enchanting quality to it. Her father is distressed once he finds the box is missing and kind of goes crazy about it. The girl keeps this hair in her possession and also keeps it a secret. and one day she shows it to a friend. While they're playing around with it, the girls find out that the hair can attach to their scalps and cannot be removed. It's weird, but the friend gets an idea. After the friend takes the box home to hide it from the girl's dad, the friend finds out that the hair can multiply when cut. So, free extensions, unlimited extensions hack. The girl is now being haunted by Tomie's image and is unable to focus on anything else. But the wild part is the girl's friend comes back to school after summer break with a whole new head of hair. She has transplanted Tomie's hair onto her own scalp and has begun speaking to Tomie. The girl is obsessed. She stays home trying to speak with Tomie. And her friend eventually shares that the more of Tomie's hair she puts on her head, the closer she'll be to Tomie. The girl tries it. The friend is also giving out Tomie's hair at school, spreading the beauty. In the background of this plot, the girl's parents separate after the father tells the mother that Tomie is the real love of his life. And when the mother goes to get the girl, she's got Tomie's hair growing all over her, taking over her body. Once at the hospital, the doctors can't remove the hair because it's implanted itself into her brain. She's being taken over by Tomie's essence and becoming an unknowing host. Losing herself because she wanted to commune with someone as pretty as Tomie. Her friend lost herself because she wanted to have pretty hair. The quest for meeting beauty standards destroys those who are willing to give up anything just to be pretty. Many of the Tomie stories are stories of Tomie, the person or creature, attracting victims and destroying them while they destroy her. Hair, however, is more like her essence drawing people in, pieces of her that are no longer alive or like attached to her. Alive is, I guess, a little bit questionable, debatable. But hair is about how women will destroy themselves to fit into beauty standards, to fit these misogynistic societal views of what they think they should be. And in a way, Tomie covers basically all aspects of femininity and the way femininity can be weaponized against people, the way that oftentimes being seen as feminine in a world that inherently disregards femininity and sees it as less than can be traumatizing for some. It's something that not a lot of people are excited about, to say the least. I don't know if Tomie is actually that deep, but it is more fun for me if it is. It adds a layer of poeticism to the stories being told, and horror as a genre often reflects anxieties the general public struggles with, and portrays it in a way that, yes, is over the top, but makes it easier to identify and process and just put it all out there for the world to see and grapple with in a way that's not directly tied to the scarier real life issues. And that's what makes horror as a genre so effective. And Tomie plays right into that with the anxieties of fitting in, the anxieties of matching misogynistic beauty standards and unrealistic standards thrown onto women. It's the anxiety of being victimized and also being a monster. It's the same fear that had women saying they would rather encounter a bear in the woods than a man whenever that TikTok trend was. Time is all kind of muddled up here. It's all the same thing, and that's what Tomie is about. I don't have anything else to add to that. Like I said earlier, this is not the end-all be-all of a Tomie analysis. This was just what I was thinking while reading it, and the things running through my head, and what the stories made me think about. And you might have a completely different takeaway from Tomie than I did, and that's fine. Anyway, that's it for me. I will see you all in my next video, whatever that may be. Thank you guys for watching. It's been real. Bye!